Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Beyond Max Q. I'm Mollie Jahner, your host. I am joined today by Nicola. I realized I've been pronouncing her name incorrectly for the last 3 weeks that I've known her, which is terrible.
How do
She's
you say
fantastic.
it? How do you say it?
Nicola.
Nicola. Nicole.
Nicola. See,
No,
still,
I
still
say
terrible.
Nicola, but you could say whatever
But
you
I'm
want.
trying to say it just like you, but I don't
Okay.
have the fun accent, so
But
it's
I'm
terrible.
English, so
It's really bad.
as you
Um,
please. I will answer to anything.
And I love that. But she is the founder of the Startup Playground, which is really quite tremendous. Jokes aside, I'm very honored to have you on the podcast today to talk about what you're building because I think it's needed, and I think that a lot of the folks in our community are going to be really interested to hear about what you're doing. So, with that, please introduce
Hey.
yourself in the appropriate English accents and take it away.
Oh God, I don't love my accent, so maybe we can call me whatever. Some people call me Jane. You can call me Jane as well if you like. It's my middle name. Um, And I'm actually workshopping a few my sister just had a baby, so we're like workshopping what my aunt name is going to be as well because
Oh, there
Nicola's a
you
bit
go.
boring. So,
Do you have any front runners?
any ideas are welcome. Okay, I'm Nicola. I'm originally from the UK. I live in Lisbon, and for the last few years, I've actually been like living all over the world, which is really cool. Um, and since I've been in Lisbon, I've been building, as you said, Molly, the startup playground, which is actually quite embryonic still, but it's going to be amazing. So we may as well talk about
Yes.
it like it is amazing. Um, which is a venture studio, and the philosophy behind it is about creating like creative freedom, founder well-being, playfulness, as the sort of bedrock of longevity in business. So we're going to be creating businesses with founders and with our own founders inside the studio, around a thesis that's to be determined at the moment,
Okay.
impact focused, and I'm really excited about it. My background is as a founder. I've started multiple companies, and I've got to the stage now where I'm like, I know what I'm really good at, which is like the 0 to 1 kind of like getting things going. And
The
then I want to
hardest part.
build yeah, the most fun part. And then I want to create the sort of infrastructure around those kinds of 0 to 1 that then we can take it 1 to 100 with the studio's sort of support and our ecosystem support. So, yeah, it seems like the obvious choice for me as a person, but also I think it's really needed. There's an issue in startup land, I think, around getting obsessed with what we're solving, like the solution that we have rather than the
Mhm.
problem that we're solving, right? And we love our sexy ideas. That's what we just want everyone to tell us we're amazing and it's like really good and
Yes.
whatever. Whereas the studio model for me allows us to totally get obsessed with the problem and then come up with like 100 solutions for it
Mm,
and then validate them and see what actually is working to solve the
yes.
problem. So from my perspective, it's like a better play. It's a better actual like
Mhm.
problem solver than me getting all excited about my solution somewhere over here when actually the
Right.
problem doesn't need that.
What
So
do you mean? Buy my
yeah.
thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, anything I create is amazing. I can't believe people don't just want to buy it.
Exactly. No, it's funny. That's a
Yeah.
really great way to put it. It's true though. And I do think that you also can get rather myopic around like, okay, I built this and maybe they really are solving an amazing problem because there's a lot of that, but you get so
Yeah.
caught up in building and the bells and whistles and
Yeah.
potentially even trying to find an exit that you don't think about, does this actually work?
Yeah, does anyone care? Or like, is it actually solving a problem in the long term for people that need it? And yeah, we love a band-aid. That was quite American of me. We love like a paper over the cracks sort of solution. And my intention is to really like get to the bottom of these things, but in a way where like we're not attached to our own solutions. We're attached to like making people's lives better in whatever problem area that we're considering. So that's what we do.
No, I love it. Well, and you're in the process of finding funding for it and finding startups, correct? Or where are you? I know you're 0 to 1, but like where in the 0 to 1 are you?
Okay, so yeah, we have our first investor, but we're looking for one other to join the team, really, because actually we're looking for a sort of investor contributor, ideally someone they're bringing at least network contribution
Mhm.
and like expertise, but because I've had investors before that maybe weren't the best fit. So I'm kind of flipping it this time and making sure that like the fit is there first before we take any checks. Like that's really important to me, that we get like they're really bought into what we're trying to build. And so I spent quite a lot of time actually sort of getting really clear with myself about what that fit might look like. Um, and we're getting our advisory, like founding advisory team together, which is really cool. And I've got some like absolutely amazing people. And I'm like, we get on calls together and I'm like, I can't believe that I get to go and like chat to these people and like solve problems with these people, and they're excited about it. So that's where we're at with that. And then from September onwards, we will be we'll start hiring our first founders in residence. So that will be either people in current startups that are looking to like pivot, or it will be people that are like in between. Maybe they're like a recent company's closed and they're looking for something new, or even a first-time founder possibly. And their job will basically be like recruiting essentially for them to come into the studio and solve these problems that we're going to create. I mean, obviously there's like programming and we have a structure around that, but like the core of it is they come into the studio and then their job is to like ideate
Well, and do they
and get
find their
these things
co-founder
started.
potentially in that process too, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's like, it kind of depends. There's a lot of dependencies at the moment. So yes, there is potential co-founder models. We're also looking at supporting solo founders because the studio is set up in a way that they kind of have all the like skills there available to them. So if I mean, there's I don't know what the stats are. You can probably look these up, but like the stats around like co-founder breakups and my own personal experience with co-founder breakups, it happens, and it can kill a business. So if a co-founder relationship doesn't happen naturally, we'll want to support solo founders as well. Make sure they've got like the really good support system around them and got all their skills gaps met. And the studio is essentially a co-founder of the businesses. So that's kind of how we're seeing it. You kind of get like this amazing group of people all just like oven ready to support
I'm like oven ready. That's
building
great.
this
I haven't had breakfast
oven
yet, and
ready.
I'm like, oh, I
Oh
would like
no, I'm
I
sorry.
know oven ready.
Do
That
you know,
sounds
also what's awful is oven ready is actually a really annoying like political thing that
good.
that Boris Johnson used to say in the
Oh.
UK. Yeah, so we
Oh
don't
no,
love it, but
I don't follow
uh,
that much. I try to actually check out of most politics in general because they're
it's
annoying
probably
here.
for the
So I can't even
best.
imagine being plugged in internationally as well. Like I can't do it.
Yeah, he used to say oven ready a lot in one of his campaigns, and now it's annoying because it's actually quite a good phrase. But yeah, so every time I
Good.
say it, I think of him. But I mean, maybe that's brilliant messaging. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I don't. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? There's another great saying. There's probably a ton of them. There's probably some we shouldn't even use anymore, but they're like from old, like terrible stereotypes and.
Someone said to me once, one of the reasons it's hardest to learn English is because we use so many expressions like this that make no actual
Sense.
like sense at all. And I'm trying to learn Portuguese, and I'm like, no, sorry, I think Portuguese is the hardest language to learn. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is true. We do use a lot of metaphor, we use a lot of idioms, we use a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't make
Like,
any
oh,
sense.
you don't
So
understand our cultural references? I guess you can't speak
yeah,
our language.
yeah, yeah, literally.
I
It's
love that. Well,
crazy.
I know we were talking about earlier too, how, you think you start to build your startup. You start to build your
Yeah.
startup. Not a good sentence, but it's a sentence. And you, I want to ask you, like, where would you begin the journey? So, hey, I have an idea. A studio is a good place to start. But then how do
Yeah.
you build out your own personal brand? Because you're tremendous at it. And so I want to like get that out there and have you talk about some of that.
So you mean from like a personal branding perspective,
Yes.
or from like a I've got a business idea?
Well, I think they're both intertwined these days, right? I don't think that
Okay.
you can really separate the two. At least me personally. Maybe that's not how you feel, but I don't know that you can separate your personal brand from your business as
Mm.
well as you used to be able to.
I think there's like nothing bad about having a personal brand. Like you can't really go. I mean, I've got friends who aren't building right now, but they maintain their like personal brand because it keeps them connected to people. It brings opportunities in, all of that sort of stuff. But I also would say on the flip side, there is quite a lot of people building that you would never even know existed. And they're kind of interesting people actually, because I'm always curious about how they're like doing their network.
How
And
are they?
well,
It's in
I
the
don't honestly.
underground.
Sometimes I'm not. Yeah, there is kind of an underground thing. Some people are like more events focused. Some people are like. I mean, I'm thinking like when we're talking personal brand, and what you mentioned is like I am basically like spraying myself across LinkedIn. That's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But there are other ways, I guess, that people are doing that, which is interesting. So I think there are people doing this sort of stuff. And actually I mean, I'm going to introduce you to her, but speaking to my like great friend Jess, who is like an expert in personality types, and relationships. That's her sort of like Venn diagram. It's really interesting when speaking to her, and she'll know someone's personality type and she'll be like, well, that's why they're doing this, because their cognitive functions are working differently. So for me, I'm deeply extroverted. And well, actually, I'm an introverted extrovert, but in lots of ways I process it in an extroverted way. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I need like for
Tell
something
somebody
to make
about it.
sense to me, it has to come out of me, you
Yeah.
know? It has
Yeah.
to like exist in the world for me to. So sometimes writing is that way, sometimes my voice. Whereas other people are doing things internally, and they'll also be like building their network
Yeah.
probably more on like quietly and or more pointedly. So for
Mm.
example, if their business is related to something that doesn't require B2B development, then LinkedIn might not be the place for them, but they might be like busy making friends in whatever area
On
that
Facebook.
they need to do. Yeah, Facebook, yeah, or like Instagram, I don't know, or even not even on socials. And
Yeah.
there is this weird thing, and I don't know, this is a half-baked idea, but like there is this thing about there's this I have a little bit of like an idealist view that it would be quite cool if you could do all of this stuff without having to like, you know,
Yes.
push it. And it would be interesting to
I have
see.
social media fatigue. I feel that all the time. I
Yeah,
like by Friday, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done with LinkedIn. Like
yeah,
I can't do this. It's
it's a
just like
lot.
everybody's really well-meaning and you're reaching out, it's great, but it's like, phew, okay. Like you
Yeah,
start to sink in like wow, look at what they're doing, or oh, am I doing enough? Or oh gosh, I can't digest another. This is what it taught me about B2B sales. I
yeah.
can't do it.
And also, no one actually, I don't think anyone really cares about that. Like, I personally, I have had this, right? So, I built my like audience initially when I was running my last company, which actually ultimately I closed. And then I was like, the first thing I did was just like delete LinkedIn. I was like,
That probably felt really good. Just gone.
yeah, I was just like gone. It was like and I have it the same with other socials. I've just like completely got rid of them because my life isn't better with them in. But then when I came back when I'd spent a bit of time away from it and I came back, I was like, okay, I'm going to go into this totally clear that this isn't about validation. This isn't about like, this isn't going to fill my cup up to like make me feel good about myself. It's basically like so that I can start talking about what I'm passionate about, which is like founder well-being and founders as humans and all that sort of stuff. And treat it like an experiment, play with it, like throw some stuff out and see what the world says. But before, when I was doing it, it was deeply entrenched in like my go to market. So therefore, it was like my value was linked to how well my LinkedIn did. And then I just burnt out from it because I was like, I
Keep up with
can't,
it.
if people aren't liking my stuff, then I'm not good enough. And all this like the horrible limiting thoughts were coming up. And now I'm like, people don't want to read it or the algorithm doesn't want to deliver it to people, then like poor them because I said something really interesting.
Love that.
That I'm literally just like, I'm going to flip it on his head. I'm saying interesting stuff. If they don't want to hear it, great. Sometimes I don't want to hear their stuff. It just kind of, it's fine. It's just
I've actually always enjoyed your posts. Your posts are the one
thank
refreshing
you.
thing I found. There's a few people I really enjoy following, and you are one of them. A lot of the stuff
Oh,
seems like it's a lot the same, but yours is very different. And I also love how you're very real. Like your selfies are great. Like you encouraged me to do my first selfie because it's a daunting. You're like, okay, I'm putting my stuff out there. Like here we go.
oh my God. I literally just earlier, I just put a post together for tomorrow and it's about our relationship to money because we're doing a workshop for founders
Oh,
around
are
like
you just throwing
healing.
money in the air?
No, I did this. I had like a €5 note and I put my glasses on. You'll see it tomorrow. I
I
put
love
my
you.
glasses on and then I've got the like note like this in my face. I was there just like chuckling to myself, thinking like, people think I'm like, they must think I'm just totally ridiculous, but I also have kind of a lot of fun doing this
Well, and
stuff.
thus
So
the startup playground. And I want you to
yeah.
talk a little bit about that. So why does like having fun matter, and how are you bringing that to your studio?
So having fun and like playfulness, I genuinely just believe like it extinguishes the pressure that people feel like, the sort of like, even when you're a bit stressed,
Mhm.
like you can just inject a little bit of playfulness or experimentation or fun into something, and it's like things melt away, because actually when you think about what we're trying to do here compared to like what's going on in the world,
Right.
like it's like, come on, we're playing with like ideas, we're playing with what works, what doesn't, we're playing with like, people's problems and like ways that we can solve them. And if we get sort of really stressed and like tense about it, we are not going to be in the best position to actually solve any kind of problem, because we're going to be forcing things and we're going to be like, banging our heads against a brick wall. Whereas like if you just sort of open the box up and just say like play,
Mhm.
solutions can be found in like a way more organic and natural and like useful kind of way, I believe anyway. And it's that kind of like, it gives creative freedom, it like people enjoy it, and like the best ideas come when you're like joyful and like, I feel like we frequently try to solve from a place of like tension.
Mm.
And my own experience of that is like, it just doesn't work, because then if that's how something's conceived, that's what's been injected into it. And
Yeah.
like, at the risk of being a bit sort of woo woo and energetic and all the rest of it, if you are putting that like, oh my God, this has got to work, and my whole value is aligned with it, and like if I don't solve this, then like, blah blah blah, whatever the thought patterns are,
Mhm.
if you can just switch that to like, how might we do this? Or like, what if we could like totally transform how people relate to money? Or like, what if people actually enjoyed being a founder instead of like suffering and like feeling like they
Well,
had to
that's
tell
the rite of
everyone that they had to
passage. That's a
suffer?
part of it. You have to
Well,
suffer.
exactly. That's like, and there's that, these narratives are so entrenched in this world. And like, I went for lunch with a VC not that long ago, and he was saying, oh, we're just really struggling to like get to meet our female founder quota. Like, we've got like a percentage of female founders that they want to
Okay.
invest in, right?
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but keep
Yeah,
going.
me too, me too. But anyway, so then and then we carry on the conversation. He was like kind of asking me like, how can I help, like
Yeah.
introduce or whatever it is. They are also geographically like, they had their thesis is geographical, so there's like an element of
Okay.
in like it being in a place. But then he starts talking about this other stuff about how like, we don't want founders that aren't like so obsessed with their idea that they're working 16 hours a day on it. And I was like, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, no one should be working 16 hours a day, like on their computer doing work on their startup.
Anything.
Like I doing like, it just, nothing good is going to come of that.
No.
And actually I mean, I'm sort of maybe the swing of the pendulum further the other way, but like the the breakthroughs I have never happen when I'm sat looking at my screen trying to
Wait,
get
you
something
have blue
done.
light blockers though? I mean, do you have these? So now I
No.
can.
Oh my God.
They
I
block
love them.
they block the blue light, so you can stare at your computer for 16 hours a day.
Okay,
You're grumpy and
but
sad.
that's not good. Don't stare at your computer
I
for
won't. I
16 hours.
won't.
Go outside. All the good stuff that's ever come, like like when I'm like stuck on something, I'm like there, like, oh, I'm just gonna think my way through this, think my way through this. And
Yeah.
then now, luckily, I'm like better at catching myself and being like, just go for a walk around the park, like call a friend, do something silly, sing and dance, or like whatever it is that you need to do. And then like you'll find, I believe, and it happens, so it's like evidenced in my life, those things just resolve themselves, or some kind of like, I know what the next step comes to you. And listening to this guy, just like, he's a young guy who started out like, he started like in this particular fund, really like straight out of uni, and then worked his way up. And I was like, you have been just indoctrinated basically by the people that have come before you. I know that you don't believe this, but like you are like perpetuating this idea that we have to, you know, just constantly keep bashing ourselves against like against a wall to do something good. And this idea that we have to suffer when we're
Well,
just like, you know, is so deeply, deeply entrenched. And then if you then track that back, especially female founders who already have, you know, the weight of the world on their shoulders, and are challenged by all sorts of different things that we could probably talk about for days. Um, if you then have this attitude that you're supposed to be working 16-hour days, that is not going to be a good fit relationship. So even if they like the business, it's not going to work because they're not going to align on that. So
well, and who says you have to work 16-hour days? Is it the competition? Is it to get your return? Like what, why?
I
That's
just
my
don't
question.
believe
Like,
that.
why are
Yeah,
we putting these timelines on people to get something built? Like, can we just,
yeah,
can sometimes the best things that I make in the kitchen are in the crock pot and they
mm,
take all day. So it's not like the quick things that you do. And I feel
yeah,
like we need to talk about that more because it's a
yeah.
crazy idea, this unrealistic timeline, and it's really the return on your investment
Mm.
is what it
But
is.
what if we could say to ourselves, like, how can I run a successful business that I enjoy and I can live in and that like pays me and my team well and has an impact whilst also living the life that I desperately want to live? Let's say, for example, I have like a bit of a rule. Fridays, I like to go to the beach.
Yeah.
It's just like what I like to do. And so now when I'm building this business, I'm like, guys, on Fridays, I go to the beach. Like, it's just the way I want to live my life. And if that gets taken away from me, then already I'm like, the business isn't serving me. It's not serving me anymore. It's serving like something else, you know? And if I'm the one that has to build it or is building it, then it has to serve me. And I think we get this so wrong. It's like, oh, all these other ideas of how the best way to do things are. And it's like, who, like you said, who said? Who said that? Why don't you do it differently? Just do it the way that like you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then my
Sure.
question is, what
Yeah.
female founders are they investing in? You know, and then
Not on it, not
how
many.
can you help them? How can we rescue them? Get out.
Well, I mean, actually, oh well, Annika, who was on this podcast,
Yes,
the first thing I did was introduce them to Annika, to
that's good.
coach.
She's
So like,
fantastic.
she's love her. But I think there's a long way to go in this kind of stuff, and in startup land, like probably reason why some of the stuff I talk about resonates is because it's like it's poking a little bit at this idea that like we don't have, well, it's just saying we just don't have to do it the way that everyone keeps saying we do.
Mhm.
And sure, by the way, I should say, obviously, um, you have to work quite hard sometimes. Like that is true. I'm not saying like I just sit here and
Right.
imagine things into existence.
You're surfing at the beach and it
But
happens.
yeah, but that time, let's say like me being at the beach, is actually just as important. I see it as like it's just as important to my productivity as sitting at my computer.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's the reframe that needs to happen. Is like the life stuff is as important a contributor as, you know, the sort of like what you
Mhm.
consider work. It's all work. It's all part of our life's work.
Our
So
life's work. Oh, I like that. Well,
yeah.
that's good. Well, I for the sake, we've had a great conversation so far, but for the sake of the audience too, I want to ask. So you have been a founder. You are looking to build this studio. What do
Yes.
you see? And you're around other founders all the time.
Yeah.
So what qualities or what things do you see them doing well that you want to call out that you think are getting them like they're finding funding, right? That they get invested in?
So the things, okay, the first thing that comes to my mind is a like curiosity mindset. I think especially when you're fundraising, you can get into like a bit of a scarcity mindset and feeling like you need the money to like get this thing going. So therefore, like I've got to get this thing done. It all becomes quite sort of like charged.
Mhm.
And when people can switch into like a more of a curiosity mindset of like, could this be a good fit? Are they actually like right fit for me? And like, is there something here that I could learn from these people? Or, you know, whatever questions you might have or come up with or that are important to you. That's when the relationship starts shifting, I think. And then you start moving into like building a partnership rather than like directly sort of like pitching for cash and it being quite a transactional thing.
Right.
And most of the founders that I know, maybe that's just because I spend especially a lot of time around female founders, but are very interested in that partnership piece. Like, how does it come together? Not just cash terms. So the other part of that is having real clarity on what you need and what you look for in that partnership, and sticking to that, because it
Well,
can be
you talked
really
about that.
easy to,
You said you're
yeah.
looking for a partnership as well, and it's the right fit is really important. So can you talk about how you find the right fit? I know from your
So
perspective, but I know it's going to be different
yeah,
for everybody, but like
of
what's the
course.
process?
So for me, and I have one of my advisors who actually, this is a great story, but I'm just going to say it first and then I'll tell the story. But basically what I did was literally just like ask myself some really simple questions, like what would they bring to the table? What do they not want to do? What do I not want to do? What does the plan look like? You know, how would they contribute? Like some quite simple questions about like that sort of wider profile of like how a relationship might work.
Mhm.
What are their values? What's important to them? What's important to me? How does that match? What does it look like if it does match? What does it look like if it doesn't match? What am I looking out for in connections? And
Mhm.
also I wrote down as well in like preparation what kind of things would have to happen for me to feel like the partnership was going in the right way. So for example, I had one conversation which I thought was so great. There was like this initial spark, it was wonderful, but I had agreed with myself that I wouldn't talk about term sheets or anything until at least 3 calls had happened. And then in the second call it had gone totally downhill because there were certain things that came up that just weren't aligned.
Mhm.
So instead of being like, which is what I did previously, like try and get these investors to the like fastest decision
Mhm.
and ultimately like having bad fit, I flipped it and was like, I'm gonna make sure we're gonna speak at least 3 times before I accept any cash from you, because it's important to me that I get to see all these different like parts of you, and like basically preparing and setting that out for myself so that I don't make a decision too quickly, because I can do that. I'm a bit impulsive sometimes. So
I'm the same way. So
yeah.
that's great.
So I
I
have to
like
put a
that.
system around it. You know, I've got to systemize myself.
I like that. You got to systemize yourself.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well, I also, so we always keep these short. I think I could talk to you probably for hours, which
Yes.
it would be fun for us. I don't know if it would be fun for everyone, but I would love to. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
I guess like moving forward, we are going to be hiring into our founders in residence
Okay.
positions, and also we'll have some operator roles coming up. So I guess that's
Mhm.
something that is worth
Yeah.
bearing in mind. Oh, and just remembered, um, in September, so from September to November, we're doing a series of what we're calling the Founder Life Labs.
Okay.
And this actually is totally like, there's nothing we get out of it other than like, it's a kind of a gift to founders. And they're sort of masterclasses, and the topics are around pleasure, around relationships, around performance, breath work, and
Okay.
around our relationship to money. So kind of like exploring alternative ways of being as a founder, and like looking at things outside of
Being
maybe the
healthy,
obvious
a
like
whole
work. Yeah,
person.
like being, yeah, we're whole beings,
Yes.
and we want to look after people in that, with that lens. So yeah, I'm excited to announce them. We're sort of doing some work behind the scenes to make them
Okay.
come to life. So
Amazing. Well, you have to send me the links to those and then I can help promote too. And we'll put them in the video description and all the different things. And if you are a funder who's
amazing.
looking to go through the rigorous interview process, to see if you're a fit. No, I'm just
It's
kidding.
not, it's
It's
chats
not.
like this. It's
It's
chats
not.
like this. It's like chit chat. It's honestly,
I
it's
know,
like
I know.
I do ask
Reach
some
out.
difficult questions, though. I do ask difficult
I bet you
questions.
do. I would imagine. Like, I mean, it's also like it's your thing, and it's important to make sure that it's the right person. So you should interview it as such, right? It's not
Yeah,
just something that's willy-nilly, because
yeah,
you're stuck with these people, and sometimes you're
yeah,
stuck with them legally, and you
yeah.
just have to think through that.
And there's been this historic power dynamic that's like investor to founder is like it has got to change
Yeah.
basically. And I see that as like a founders are going to have to lead that by saying no to people that don't fit.
I love that. That's a perfect way to
Mm.
end. We do always have one last question, which is, what are you
Mhm.
currently reading?
Oh no, because this is going to take me like the next half an hour to talk about.
Oh no.
Okay, so I am currently reading, great question. I'm currently reading Existential Kink,
Okay.
and it's about, that sounds sexual. It's like obviously the word kink is considered sexual, but it's like basically
Did Boris
it's
Johnson say that?
it's
Did he make it? He made it that way? Just like, I've been ready.
it's a brilliant book about how we sabotage ourselves basically, and how we have these like shadow parts of ourselves that are secretly getting off on fucking with us basically, and like how if we can find those shadow parts and find pleasure in them,
Hmm.
then we release ourselves from all these sorts of things. So if we're repressing needs that we have in our life because we think they're not acceptable,
Mm.
they will find their way to like drag you back to them basically. And it's just how
Yeah.
to reframe that. I like it's a brilliant book. I would highly recommend it.
I'm gonna put it on hold in my
Yeah.
library, and my
Okay.
librarian's gonna be concerned. She's gonna be like,
Yeah.
"What is this?"
It's
We're
an
in a small town in
intentionally
Montana, so she's gonna be like, "What?"
it's a really
It's just
intentionally
like,
provocative title, but
yeah,
actually it's like it's for the self-work people. It's for the people that really are like wanting to get to know themselves better. And actually, since I've read it, my like perspective on some of the things that are happening in my life, I'm like, whoa, secretly some part of me is like getting off on that not working out. So
mm,
how can I give that part of me that what it needs so that I can stop, you know, messing
yeah,
it up
yeah.
in my actual
Self-sabotage.
life.
I
So
love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
It's really good. It's
Well,
really
I
good.
think that's definitely the most interesting book we've had on Max Q. So I'm excited. I'll put it in the video description, and we're gonna own it all the way to social media. So I appreciate it very
I
much.
love it.
Thank you.
I did a post about it the other day. No
Did you?
shame.
Okay, I'll have to find it. No, thank
No
you so
shame.
much for coming on and for sharing, and it was truly, truly a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Molly.